where we had only media that were supporting political parties,
right,
or a political party of the time. We only heard the voice of one person or the same series of people, just that group through and through. When in 1992, my colleague talked about 1994. I would rather say 1992 because that's when the media boom started. When we started realizing that actually we could talk about ourselves and the people could also talk about themselves. Then we had 21 newspapers in Malawi just between 1992 and 1994. 21 newspapers. But all these newspapers, 30 years later, have been reduced to 2 publishers. Certainly that is not worth scoring, because if it's an exam that is a fail and withdraw, meaning that you have failed and you should go home. Thank you. But during the same period, the few newspapers that have been there, the few radio stations that have been there, let me just concentrate on the newspapers. They have done the digging. We heard about the Mwanza murders case through the investigative journalism of these newspapers that are still here today. In terms of radio has expanded a lot. We had, as my colleague said, the radio station. Nthawi ilibwanji timvera by MBC. Those things changed. Today, at the last count, we have in this country over 80 radio stations. Now, about 3/4 of these are community radio stations. It means information is spreading. People are now able to get the information that they need. They can even decide not to listen to this one and instead listen to, or not to listen to anything at all. So, how have we fared? Well, but not very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Piri, do you have a response for asking this question?
Yeah, I think much has already been said by my senior colleagues. Just to add that the history of the media in Malawi dates back to 1895, when we had what we used to call Central African Planter, is it? Yeah, so which is today known as the Daily Times. So that's in terms of newspapers, and then it came in the 1960s, 80s, or 80s, when we had the Nyasaland or the Federal Broadcasting Station, which was for Malawi, Zimbabwe, as well as Zambia. So as I already said earlier on, much has already been said, but I should say, if I have to be given a chance to rate the Malawi's media, I would say, yeah, maybe 52, just one above. We're
not doing so well, are we?
At least so far, so good. Though there is much that needs to be done, but at least we have tried as a media in Malawi.
All right, thank you. Dr. Manganda, you did mention in your explanation that we are facing challenges as the media as we're progressing. Can you please highlight for us some of the challenges that the media has faced from the break of dawn of independence until today?
The media has faced a lot of problems, for both these eras. But I think currently, the media that we have now has certain special problems which we need to solve. When you look at media players, when you look at reporters, when you look at all the other people that work in the media, you notice that they don't have the stature that they deserve. Okay? People will talk about he's just a mere reporter. Now, this guy has done 4 years of college. He's done the usual things that everybody has done in college, but it's just a mere reporter. We have heard stories of reporters who have been paid less than what some of us pay our workers at home, because they think this. So these are some of the problems of the media, but the challenges that the media is facing. But going further, you can look at the legal issues, right? the legal issues that are still dogging the media. Although we haven't witnessed reporters being arrested, for example, recently, but there are still laws in the statute books which can get you in trouble for insulting the president, for questioning the authorities at a certain level. So those are some of the challenges, and there are efforts to try to correct these things. I know for sure one Chancellor College guy called Dr. Kanyongolo, he listed all these problems, the challenges in terms of the legal issues, that these are the laws. Although the Constitution is very liberal, although we have sections 35, 36, 37, which free the media, but there are laws within the statute books which restrict the work of the media. These are basically insert laws, laws to do with what else? Mostly insert laws. Those will still restrict the work of the journalists. So those would be some of the challenges.
All right, thank you. Dr. Manda and Mr. Piri, would you like to comment on the same? What challenges is the media facing?
Oh, I should be the first. Yeah, I think among the challenges that the media is facing right now is, I should say, finances, if that could be the right way to put it, finances, because a newsroom is supposed to have people who are specialized in various fields. For example, agriculture, reporters that are specialized in economics, reporters that are specialized in issues about politics, reporters that are specialized in issues of sports. But due to lack of finances, adequate finances, you find that the same person is doing sports, the same person is putting about agriculture, the same person is putting about politics. So at the end of the day, it has an impact on the quality of the work that this kind of person is doing. So finances, I think, is one of the challenges that are affecting the operations of the media in the country.
Thanks. My colleague has put it very well. The biggest challenge for the media in Malawi is money. It is money because there is no money. This country is not very rich. Some say it's poor, but I don't want to mention the poverty. But you will notice that for the people, the MPs, for example, to move around and do a recording in Nsanje, what they will need is not less than 1 million kwacha, because they will need all the camera people to go there. They will need to eat. They need to actually. There are materials that they need to have as input for them to edit their material properly. It is fuel. It is even security. You need your own security. We don't have the money to run our own media. One of the things I was talking about was the 21 newspapers that collapsed. 21. 21. Minus 2. So 19 that died. Major reason was money. And when these people got some money after sales, they would actually immediately use it. Sometimes forget their own workers because there's no money. So if we can improve in the area of finances and the economy, we can do better. One thing I will let you know is this. Apart from the MBC, Zimwe Radio, Chirundu Radio, and Mchinji and Midge. Most of these, all the other news, I've mentioned 80, they don't have their own buildings. They don't have their own, they are renting. They are renting not because they want to rent, but they can't afford to build anything that would be called a proper studio. The other thing that I want us to concentrate on also is the issue of bias. We have problems in the media in Malawi because of not observing the very things that we teach in class, ethics. Let's not be biased. But there are people who are biased. Some people, journalists, go and sell themselves to politicians, even calling themselves, we are Party X journalists. You have heard about these people. They don't think the people that are corrupt in this country go to the newsroom and ask journalists to follow them. They are journalists that actually go and hunt for these people. So we have a problem. The problem is that we are also morally bankrupt. We want today's money in today's pocket. We don't think about who we will be maybe in 10 years, 5 years from now, 10 years on. So that bias, but then there's also political bias by the owners of the media. I'm trying to imagine I am at MBC. So in the evening, I'm the news reader. Then I start by inserting the head of state. I think they will just remove me straight away. In the same manner, if I went elsewhere, it is the same thing. Even in community radio stations, there are people who claim this radio station was started by MP so. That person is also virtually deified as a god for that. He is not touched. We had, I'm sorry, I'm talking on and on. We had, during the last elections, we had a report by Makra that showed that one of the community radio stations in Chitipa was 99.9% DPP. How can a radio station behave like that? I'm saying it's not me, it is Makra that reported.
No.
It was 99.9% supporting DPP. How does that happen? Does it mean there were no other people?
No.
Thank you very much.
Round of applause, everybody. This is a special talk show on the role of the media in an independent Malawi. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to our special talk show on the role of the media in an independent Malawi. You're with me, your host, Vanessa Jirani. And with me on the panel, I have Dr. Gray Manganda, Dr. Levi Zireza Manda, and Mr. Lloyd Kaisi Piri. And to our audience, MUBA students, Polehua. Polehua. Mr. Kaisi Piri, what is expected of the media in an independent state?
Yeah, there is a lot that is expected from the media. One of such roles that the media is supposed to play is to ensure that it educates the masses, to ensure that those particular masses understand their rights and how best they can enjoy those rights without infringing on the rights of others. So that's one of the key roles that the media has to play in an independent state.
Dr. Manganda, would you like to take us up on that one?
I think the media should be playing its role of being the fourth estate. It has been elevated to this position of the fourth estate, besides the known ones, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. The media should be the fourth estate. It must take up its responsibility and be the one that shakes the society. And considering that our work, unlike that of the judiciary and the others, our work is very public. Right? Everything that we do is in the public domain. We have to take that responsibility very seriously to be the fourth estate, as well as to be the watchdog of the society. Okay? Maybe I can stop there for now.
All right. Dr. Manda, what do you think is expected of the media in an independent society?
Thank you. There's a lot. There's a lot. We go beyond the usual information, education, the things that we cite every day, and entertainment. But I would add that the media in a country like ours should energize people, give people hope, make them feel they are part of the citizen, they are part of the fabric of society, and that the people are being listened to. How? The media will be like a go-between. The people must talk, the leaders must talk. They should challenge each other. They should contribute issues to to national development. So the idea of energizing the society is very key. The other one that I always think about is the idea of challenging the people. You know, the issues of corruption. We always think that the corrupt are people like me who sit in offices. But the biggest and the most corrupt people are us, the poor. Because we demand these bribes. When people bribe us, we receive these bribes. Take things like FISIP. What do you got now? AIP. Every day there is a complaint in villages. Chiefs are doing this. Chiefs are doing that. Chiefs are doing this. But nobody is going, the media is not picking up those complaints from the local people. So challenge them so that they should also be fighting corruption from their side. Because if they receive bribes, the bribers, I hope that is English, the bribers will keep on bribing because they know they are recipients. So let's challenge the people to rise and say, this is wrong and we will not accept this. Because if someone has money and wants to pay you for not working and you say, I cannot receive money that I have not worked for, that person will die with his money in his pocket because he will have no one to pay. So that one is then there is another concept that we have of investigation. There are people who often say, I am an investigative journalist, as if there is journalism that is not investigative. All journalism is investigative. I put forward to this meeting that when we are talking about investigative journalism, from today on, we should be talking about investigating things that are wrong so that we correct them. But also investigating things that are right so that we
spread awareness.
We spread awareness. Thank you very much for assisting me. Thank you. So let me stop there as well.
All right. After explaining to us about what is expected of the media, do you think the media is doing enough in promoting democracy in our country? Mr. Manganda, would you like to?
Okay. I like my friend who gave the media 51%. If I had to rate the media, I would give them 60 to 70%. Because I think our media has come to where we want it to be, in spite of the challenges. If you look at where we are coming from, I think we are going in the right direction. There are so many things we can improve, as we talked about, and maybe one of the things we could have talked about was also the challenges in terms of standards, right? The standards of the media need to be improved. But if we can work on all these little things, we talked about the economy, we talked about we're mentioning standards. If we bring all these things on board and try to solve them, our media is going in the right direction. I do believe we could pat ourselves on the back and say, so far, so good, but maybe we haven't quite reached where we want to be. Okay?
All right. Mr. Perry, do you feel our media is doing enough with promoting democracy?
Yes, I think the media has tried to ensure that democracy is promoted in the country, because today people know both sides of the story. If government is in the wrong, the media is able to report about that. If government is right, the media is also able to report about that. So people are able to understand issues as they happen from two perspectives, both wrong and right. So on that, I think the media has to be patted on its back. Again, the media is able to give listeners or viewers or readers an opportunity at least to contribute on various issues that are happening in the country. There are topics that some radio stations or TV stations do have on a daily basis, programs where they invite the audience, where they invite the viewers or the listeners to contribute on that particular topic that is of development in nature. So once the power powers that be listen to those ideas from the people. They're able to pick that and do the thing in the way that people want things to be done. So far so good. The media has tried its best and is doing the right thing in ensuring that democracy is achieved in the country.
Thank you. Dr. Manda, what are your thoughts on the same?
I still maintain 51. Actually, I was about to reduce it to 50 because there are times I feel very disappointed and angry at the way we perform as media. We know this is wrong information, but we still put it as if it is a fact and truth. That bias, that political bias, is what is taking away all the marks. Attempts are there. We are trying to give this side, that side, but when we start now editorializing things, that's where now I get very enraged. So instead of 51, I think I have reduced the mark to 50. Because I'm not really convinced that we are doing enough to promote democracy.
Dr. Manda, yes. In your other explanation, you did tell us that media from back then was mainly focusing on developmental coverage. Do you feel like the media is promoting enough development in our country?
Yes. And that's where the 50 comes in. In terms of, I'll start with the MBC. Perhaps if there is one 3-4 star performance from in the media comes from the coverage that MBC does. I sometimes watch documentaries on MBC, I say, wow, doesn't look like this is Malawi. The quality of the pictures, it's beautiful. You feel, this is what we want. That part of development, we have done a lot of research with panels, and we have always concluded that MBC, or in media in general, in Malawi, in terms of promoting development, it's excellent. It is the political side that is a problem. So, thank you.
Do you think the media has done enough in promoting the interests of Malawians as free citizens? Interests of Malawians?
We'll get to the percentages again and start arguing which percentage is better.
All right.
I'm an optimist, and I think the media has done enough given the circumstances. Okay, I'll go back to the challenges. The economy of Malawi does not allow people to live normally, right? Policemen have to get bribes in order to survive. I'm not justifying the stealing, but I'm saying a lot of people will get into stealing because they can't survive. Journalists, and I'm not giving excuses if there are journalists here, but they go out there to demand a bribe. Chipondantengo, did they call it? I don't know if it's still called, right? They go there. The reason is our economy does not allow us to live the way we are. Because in most countries, when people graduate and they get a job, there is a certain expectation, right? I heard in the past, like, if you're a graduate, for example, in Zimbabwe, you can start living in a Kolokosa type of house. You go to the bank, you borrow money to buy a fridge, buy a car, buy this. And, I'm told it used to happen. I don't know if it still happens. I'm just saying our economy does not allow us to do things right. But otherwise, everything else being equal, I believe that our media is doing its best, and it needs to be encouraged. And I will not, the standards, the issue of standards, I would like to emphasize that we have to try to improve on the standards. And that's from both those of us who teach and those of us who learn. We have to try and improve standards. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Piri, do you think the media has done enough in promoting the interests of Malawians as free citizens?
Not enough, but just as I said earlier on,
Doing something.
the media is doing something to ensure that the interests of Malawians are promoted in the best way possible. So, if I am to be given a chance to put that in percentages, then we can be talking about maybe 60 or 70. Yeah, there's still more that needs to be done, but at least there's something that the media is doing to ensure that the interests of Malawians are promoted.
Thank you very much. Dr. Manda, do you think the media is doing enough in promoting the interests of Malawians as free citizens?
No, I don't think so. I don't
Why
think
is
so.
that?
The question is it enough? I think that's why I'm saying I don't think so. They're trying, but it's not enough. Hence my 50%. Why? Because if you have listened to this song by Lucius Banda, she's it's like a diary for politicians. You've heard that song, right?
Which song?
But there are many songs, but there's just something that there's a news something that it looks like it's a diary for politicians. The question I wanted to raise is this: which voices are on radio every day? Is your mother on radio?
No.
Has your father been on radio?
No.
How many times have you heard this person on this radio, on that radio, on that radio, on that radio, and in that newspaper? Are you satisfied? Are they promoting enough the voices of the local people to enjoy their country and their interests? I feel they are not. We are actually. I shouldn't say they are not. I should say we are not, because we are part of the system.
Yes.
We are not doing enough. We should improve. Create more forums where people should be discussing these issues. There is a concept of radio listening clubs, and again, MBC is the leader in this area.
Yes.
Because it started it. Others are following it. So there are certain great things that you cannot take. These areas, they give a chance to people to voice themselves out. How much of that is put on radio when everybody is listening? These things are put there when we, the people who are old and sleeping, they're at 3 p.m. when everybody is at work. At 6 o'clock, who is on the news at 6 o'clock? You know the answers. So take the people, put them at 6 o'clock news, so that we hear Mrs. Manda, my wife, in the village, Chintechi, is on the news as a headline. Then that way I will come to you and say, yes, indeed, it is now promoting the voices of all Malawians. But now it's not yet there. We are trying, but we are not yet there. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'll give the floor to our audience if we have any questions for our panelists so that they can give us some answers for now.
My name is Brian Magombo, a fourth-year journalism student. Some of the points that have been raised have been very pessimistic about the media. So my question is, in terms of our economy being one of the main factors that has led to the media not performing as expected, what do you think can be the possible way to attain media independence, looking at the fact that most of the media houses seems to be in someone else's pockets? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Manganda, please.
What can be done to improve the status of the media? Well, we are part and parcel of the 18 or 20 million Malawians. As Malawians, we need to improve. We need to make more money. We need to try and dakata, as they say in other places. The government must improve. Stop this corruption so that people are paid and they're satisfied with what they get. Specifically for the media, well, they just have to do what is right, because the media has certain given ways of making money. If you're a government media, you are on subvention. If you're a private media, you're adverts and you sell your product if you're a print. Now, let's just improve those so that we can make money. But I think the bottom line is the economy of this country must be improved for all of us to live well. And personally, I have always said, this country is rich, ladies and gentlemen. When you really think about it, when they tell you one individual has stolen 2.3 billion, that other individual has stolen 350 million. Look, if we just took half that money, put it right, salaries would go up, schools would be built.
The coming in of social media and the fact that anyone can just wake up and publish things have had both positive and negative impacts on journalism and media in general. Now, to what extent do you think has social media diluted the media profession as we know it, the traditional media profession, and its ability to contribute to the development and democracy aspects that we're talking about here? Thank you.
Those are the questions from the audience. Dr. Manda seems to be geared up.
Yes, in every newsroom, from Midge, because he's around, to the nation, there is an in-house training, and sometimes you are sent to short courses, long courses, even to do master's degrees, post-qualification diplomas. So those chances are there. So if you join the media, you will certainly get those opportunities. And for the first time, you might even go to the USA when some of you don't even have a passport. So at least you get a passport. Okay, so that aside, my brother Mwale talked about media, social media. To me, the social media has come at the right moment. It is giving journalists a run for their money. Because now people are saying, we got it from social media. You people, where have you been? Introduce me. Work, meaning work, guys. There's no more time to think about it. Let's wait. And what is happening now? Almost all major traditional media now have handles. They have a Facebook page because they're trying to fight. It is an advantage to us. However, we also need to go into a course. Maybe Mubas Hua can actually think about introducing this course. It's called media literacy. Let's help our people understand what it takes to produce media, so that they can distinguish between a journalist and a social media activist, a liar and a lawyer. Yeah. So if we can give that kind of strength to our people to say, this one, like today we got something on social media which was saying, written by something, bandit. Yet people are posting this thing, but if you had told people that read the whole article and look at the byline, if the byline says, I am a bandit, suddenly you don't have to believe me. So we need media literacy. So I'll stop there in the interest of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to comment on the role of the watchdog. If I got your question well, it was alluding to how can the media be watchdogs, but then when they grow up, they are given a scorn in their mouth, so they can't do their best work. Can I give you a personal story? I worked at this institution for many, many years. I won't give you the exact number of years, but many, many years. And in that time, I got 3 contracts in government. Okay? 3 contracts in government. One time, Director of Information, another time, Chief of Protocol, another time, Director of Information. Now, life is about compromise. I was a fiery writer when I was in this independent institution. I ran one of the papers which he talked about, which collapsed. We didn't manage our paper well, it collapsed, but it was one of the best Our closest was the nation. Our paper collapsed. I used to write as much as I wanted to write. Now, a government comes in and they say, you come to government and work for us. Well, you have to choose. Should I work for the government and shut up, or should I maintain my independence? The choice is yours. I thought about it. I said to myself, my father worked for the civil service. He never made any money. Maybe these guys are saying they'll give me a big job. Maybe I'll get a little bit of money. So I went to work. But my journalism standards were compromised. I had to speak what the government wants to speak. Yes. But me, as a person, did not change. I went to work for the contract. I came out. I'm still me. Today I can do what I want now that I don't owe anybody anything. So in all this, so it's not an easy question. You can make up your mind and say, I don't want to work for the government because they will compromise my standards. But well, this government is running on the money that I pay tax on Fanta and bread and everything. So why can't I enjoy it for a while and then later on come back and be myself? It's something you have to think about.
And there we conclude our special program, a talk show on the role of the media in an independent Malawi. We had a panel comprising of Dr. Gray Manganda, Dr. Levi Zereza Manda, and Mr. Lloyd Gaisipiri. A big hand for our panelists. And another big hand for our wonderful audience of MUBA students doing business communication and journalism. And of course, a very big hand for Malawi Broadcasting Corporation, MBC, and Malawi University of Business and Applied Science, MUBAS. On behalf of the entire production crew, my name is Vanessa Faith Jirani. Goodbye, happy Independence Day.
ili ndi phiri la mulanje lomwe ndi lalitali kuposa mapiri onse mdziko muno, ndipo pamwamba pake penipeni pali malo otchedwa kuti sapitwa, koma mnyengo ino anthu ambiri akumakwanitsa kufikako. Phirili ndi lalitali mamita okwana 3002 ndipo limaonekera kwambiri komanso mupatsa chidwi kwambiri madera ambiri ozungulira maboma a mulanje komanso phalombe. Malingana ndi mbiri, Dr. David Livingstone mchaka cha 1859 anali Mngerezi oyamba kulemba malipoti ake zakuti kuli phiri, koma chonsecho malingana ndi geography phiri la mulanje lakhala lilipo kuchokera mzaka 130 miliyoni zapitazo. Ndipo kafukufuku wina amatsindika kuti anthu akale kwambiri amene amagwiritsa ntchito miyala mu mbadwo ya Stone Age anakhalako kuno. Komabe ngakhale kuti phirili ndilopatsa chidwi kwambiri, chaka cha 2014 silinakwanitse kukhala pa ndondomeko ya malo otetezeka ngati ya World Heritage Status. Tsono pakati pa boma la Blantyre ndi phiri la mulanje pali minda yambiri ya tii yomwe ili m'boma la Thyolo. Mbewu ya tii yalimbidwa mdziko muno kuyambira mzaka za 1908 ndipo minda yake imaoneka mopatsa chidwi kwambiri makamaka ngati ukuona kuchokera mlengalenga. Imodzi mwa maestate otchuka kwambiri ndi Asatemwa yomwe inatsegulidwa zaka 100 zapitazo. imayendetsedwa ndi banja la Cathcart K ndipo inagulidwa mchaka cha 1920 ndi bambo Scott McLean K kuchokera kwa mlimi wina amene amalima fodya. Kumwera chakumvuma kwa boma la Blantyre, mtsinje wa Shire umadutsa chigawo chake chomaliza kuno ku Malawi usanakathire madzi yake ku mtsinje waukulu wa Zambezi mdziko la Mozambique. Chigawo chimenechi chimatchedwa kuti chigwa cha mtsinje wa Shire. Chigwachi ndi dera limodzi la Rift Valley komanso muli nkhalango zitatu zotetezeka. Mtsinje umadutsa mathithi auchuluka kwambiri komanso malo amene mphamvu za magetsi zimaphikidwa, kenaka umayenda ngati njoka kudutsa malo achonde kwambiri komwe ulimi wa mzimbe umachitika. Iyi ndi nkhalango yotetezeka ya nyika yomwe ndi yayikulu kwambiri pa nkhalango zonse mdziko muno. Kukula kwake ndikokwana 3,200 square kilometers kamba kuti imakafikira kumwamba penipeni pa phiri inde pa plateau, kupatulanso kukhala ndi tinkhalango tira ting'ono timene timakhala ndi mvula ya mawawa. Tiziyamba ndi ife Malawi kuyendera malo ngati amenewa.
Inspiring the nation.
Reach out and touch somebody's.
Drama. Stories told by actors and actresses that you probably know. Nights on MBC TV will never be the same. Watch thrillers, docu-features, true life stories, and many more on the market leader, your favorite TV channel, MBC. MBC TV, inspiring the nation.
Mtundu wina uliwonse umadziwika ndi chikhalidwe chake, magule ache, zakudya zache, mwinanso chiyankhulidwe chache.
Tikulandireni kuchokera kuno ku